Welcome to the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. We really appreciate you listening. We'll be talking about everyday mom life with some pixie dust from Disney thrown in from time to time. This is a judgment-free zone. We know everyone parents differently, and we're just two moms doing our best as we figure out this whole parenting thing. So now, let's get this party started with today's episode.
Okay, so after our standard 42-minute catch-up, Jen and I are finally recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Magical Mommy Mondays podcast. I'm Angela Dahlgren here with my co-host, Jen Snyder.
Hello.
Today, we are going to talk about homeschool / distance learning prep.
Yes.
We have both made the decision to do distance learning this year with our children. So we're just kind of going to talk about how we are getting ready for that. Along with that, we are both playing around with the idea of making a few videos. I did film one. We will get into why I might refilm that video in a little bit. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it. In the meantime, Jen, how's it going? I feel like we have not really chatted in like 2 weeks.
I know. It's anytime we either skip a week because our schedules are crazy, or, I had the power outage 1 week, so we didn't really do the podcast together. Last week, you weren't feeling great, which was very concerning. So you were in here with our episode with Dr. Z, who was awesome and great, gave us such great ideas and tips for great STEM activities for the kids. She has an awesome Instagram and Facebook page now, which changed since the recording. So definitely check out Dr. Z at Home on Instagram and Facebook. Are you feeling better?
Yes. Before I talk more about that, Dr. Z, her Instagram stories are bomb. Like the millennials say, they're lit. She will do like a random STEM science experiment on her Instagram story. So you can kind of see, like, she separated DNA using Dawn dish soap.
Mm-hmm.
I was completely blown away. So definitely check out, especially her Instagram stories. Those are so cool. She probably posts the same ones on Facebook if you're a Facebookie. But yeah, as far as my headaches, I am a chronic migraine sufferer. And I've just kind of like lived my life like that. But lately this summer, I don't know what it is. I feel like people's allergies are getting worse. People who never had allergies are getting them. But I've been getting vestibular migraines. I think I said that right. So with my migraines, sometimes I will get vertigo. Have never gotten vertigo in my life, but this summer I have probably gotten it 4 times. So that day that we didn't record, it's because I had vertigo. So I literally could not sit up to record. Yeah. At times when we'll be doing podcasts, I will record with a migraine. You just kind of push through it. When you're a chronic migraine sufferer, it's like, well, you have to live life. Right. But in this case, I had to lay down because the room was spinning. It feels, if you have not had vertigo, it kind of feels like when you have the spins after you've been drinking, which I haven't really had that feeling since college because I'm super big lightweight and never drink anymore because it does not take much for me. But I digress. Mm-hmm. We are back together again. The band's back together.
Yay! I missed you.
I missed you too. I really did.
That's why we have 42-minute catch-ups before these episodes.
Sometimes you just gotta.
As if we're not texting every day anyway. Whatever.
I know. Gosh, it's like it's not enough or something.
Exactly.
It's like I'm needy and codependent. Okay, so like I said, we're telling you how we are getting ourselves, our houses ready for homeschool prep. Now, what's interesting is, so Minnesota is, for the elementary schools, doing hybrid learning, which means they are in the classroom 2 days a week, and then they are at home the rest of the week. High schools are mainly, if not all, doing distance learning. What's interesting is that I'm finding out, in my case, this is, my personal experience, is it appears that distance learning might get a little more individual attention, again, in my case, because with the hybrid learning, there's going to be a lot more moving around because they have COVID protocols to follow. So they might have to go around the entire building to get to a certain class to avoid other people. And, there's going to be a lot more transitions and washing hands and stuff like that, where we're just kind of going to be sitting on an iPad or sitting in one place. And also in my daughter's case, there are maybe like a handful of kids in her class. So she's going to get more one-on-one time, more individual learning. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it at this time. It hasn't started yet, so talk to me next week, but I'm feeling good right now. Jen, how are you feeling about distance learning?
Feeling okay, I think. It is really interesting. So in my town, there are 3 different school districts, and each school district is doing things a little differently. So we have the option of hybrid or distance learning, and the hybrid is similar: Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. They alternate every other Monday. Or the distance learning, which is completely virtual. And for the virtual, like my son will have his own teacher with the kids that are also virtual.
Same.
We have friends in another district who chose virtual as well. They also have the hybrid or the virtual, but they're virtual. They're tapping into a classroom that's happening in person in the school. Oh. So there's like a video in the classroom, and they're just going along with that class, which is interesting.
Okay.
And
so can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
So those people are sitting, why did I say that word? They're sitting watching the in-school all day.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah, so I don't know if that one will go like they're sitting watching a lesson, and then maybe they'll be logging off to do some independent work and logging back. I don't know how it's all going to go. Even for us, we have scheduled times of like you're live from this chunk to this chunk, but then independent work. It's like, are they signing off completely for independent work? I kind of feel like they would, but I'm not sure. And then the other district only gave 2 options of you're either back in 5 days a week all day, or you're completely virtual. They didn't do hybrid at all. So that's also interesting that they're like, you're all in or you're all out, which in a way is nice because at least you're consistent one way or the other, and you're all in it together. So it'll be really interesting to see how the day-to-day goes. I felt good about last week. We did a drive-by of the school where they were handing out all the workbooks we'll need for this year. And with that came like a tentative schedule, but she said this will pretty much be the schedule. It won't be too far off. And it did help just having like an idea of how the day will go. But really, I'm not going to know until we're all in it and how it's really playing out. So I'm really interested to see for everyone how it goes.
I think I might have mentioned this in a different episode. I have had people message me saying that their kid was expected, their first grader was expected to sit on their iPad or computer for 7.5 hours, like the equivalent of a standard school day, because I don't know if it was because parents or the administration wanted it to replicate a school day. And in that situation, that parent was like, no, like a first grader cannot sit still for that long. I don't really know what kid could. Right. So they took the kid out, purchased their own homeschool curriculum. And just as a reminder, the homeschool curriculum and prerequisites for how long a kid needs to do school, it's like 20 minutes minimum for a kindergartner and like an hour maximum. And a lot of the reasoning why a school day is so long is because of the moving, the transitions, and how many kids are in the classroom. Right. So take that into consideration if you're like, well, why does it take so little of time for my kid to finish their homework?
Right. And I kind of feel like there might be parents who look at this schedule of the back and forth with live, because really if you add up all the live times, it's like an hour and a half all day. I'm not sure how specials are going to work. I kind of feel like those will be pre-recorded because there is a chunk of time set for that, but I don't think that'll be live. So really you're live an hour and a half a day. And I'm sure there are going to be parents feeling like, oh, great. So they're not getting the same thing that they would get in school, but they are and they're getting more individualized attention, because if you're in school, the teacher's bouncing around from different kids are talking about different things, you're asking, there's a lot that happens. Plus, in this age range, there's so much play happening in the classroom. So,
Exactly.
We're learning about, we're doing math problems. Okay, let's do it with these blocks or with these, there's just different things. There's different crafts they do throughout the day. There's just so many ways to learn that doesn't have to do with just sitting, watching one thing the entire day, working on worksheets only. There's so many ways to learn. And I think, as we get started with these new ways of learning that are now going to be presented to us, I think parents have to keep that in mind, that just because it doesn't look like how you're thinking school looks during the day, it probably is just at home now, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's really interesting to me is talking to other parents like you and hearing how their distance learning school day differs from mine. It kind of sounds right now like you might have more group learning, where we are going to start out our day with a Google Meet from, for like a half hour, the first half hour of the day. But then she might have a small group activity one day, but she might have a one-on-one activity with her teacher another part of the week. And right now, I don't know if that's every day or just a couple times a week. But it seems like for the most part, it might be a more independent work. But I don't know. We just got to see how it goes. So with that in mind, did you have something to say?
I was just going to shout out to the teachers that I also want to be like, there's a lot of parents thinking teachers aren't doing as much, and they're doing so much more, and to cut them slack and to really think about what you're doing. I mean, it's so funny because I watch TikTok way too often, but on TikTok, there's so many teachers on there talking about, especially ones that have gone back to school in the last couple of weeks. And I came across one the other day, and they said, it's our first week of virtual class. And I had a mom log on who said her child was still sleeping. So she was wondering if she could sit in on the class and have it count for his attendance, and just no judgment zone. But think that through before you do it. Would you have your child sleeping if it was a regular school day where they were going to school? Would your child be sleeping and you would go, you know what, I'm going to let them sleep. I'm going to head to school and go sit in their classroom? I don't think you would. You wouldn't do that in person. Maybe don't do things like that at home as well.
On that note, though, all these activities that they have to do, they do count as attendance. And there are times I work very supplemental as a medical actor, for those of you who don't know. And there are times where I'm going to have to be at the hospital working, and I worry like, well, what if it's during the time that they need to do this? And what am I going to do? Like, I already know, like, I'm trying to plan it about around the time when, my husband will be home or we'll have grandparents. And either way, my daughter will get her work done. But I'm thinking like, okay, well, what if she can't log in for that Google Meet? Because parents who are distance learning with their kids, they might still have jobs. And normally their kids are covered because they're at school. That childcare aspect is covered. So it's like, well, what do you do? Because you don't want to dock the kid's grade.
Right.
And in my case, like I said, I'm trying to plan around, other people being there. Like either way, I wouldn't leave my kids home alone. Like someone's going to be watching them.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like if I have to drive an hour to be with grandparents and it happens to be during that Google Meet time.
Right.
So I just think about those kind of things. And are we going to have that similar lenience that we had March to May? Or is it like, oh, dox your kid,
Right.
And it's the parents' fault.
Right. And it's so hard for the parents, even if they're working from home, to try to schedule that, because maybe they have their own conference calls to be doing, or maybe they need to like really zone into a project or whatever it is. And this kind of makes it a little more difficult if the schedule isn't as flexible where, oh, well, maybe we can work on this a little later. Like, you went in at this time, but we'll save some of this for later. If it's not like that, it makes your day tough to really schedule it around. And I know a lot of teachers don't want parents like sitting over their kid's shoulder, which I completely understand.
Right.
But I do think you need to be in an ear or eye shot, because if they go, I don't know where the mute button is, or I don't know how to change it. Yeah. You know, and especially for kids this young who are still learning computers and iPads and technology and what to click on and how to, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there'll be a learning curve and an adjustment for everybody. And I think teachers will understand that from parents, and parents can hopefully understand that from teachers, and we can get through it all.
Yeah, we need to give each other some grace.
Yes.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I made the choice to put her in distance learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's my responsibility to make sure she gets the work done. I will. But I also think about the parents who work full time. I mean, I'm supplemental, and I'm like, oh, what if I have to drive during that time? And
yes.
You know, do I like use my phone and have her log in from my phone where I have data? And I just can't imagine the parents who have these kind of thoughts every day.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But we'll move into the more fluffy part of the episode, and that's setting up our classroom. Now, Jen and I was a preschool teacher. I feel like Jen completely missed her calling and should have been a preschool teacher. So we are 100% just like giving into the home classroom and just going with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have loved every minute, but I'm also being a little type A about it. Mm-hmm. And if I see something, I'm like, that is not working. Yeah. And I just sit and I stare at it. I'm like, I need to change this. It's not perfect yet. I think I finally got it how I want. And I think I'm going to film a video on it. Yeah. But I have a theory on like at home classrooms if you choose to create one. Yeah. And but before I get into it, Jen, how is yours going?
It's going well, but it also opened the door for it's almost like I'm nesting for the school year. I kind of feel like that's the mode I'm in, where I'm like, I need this entire house to be reorganized and spotless and cleaned out, and everything has to be fine before going into the school year. I don't know what that is.
No, you are if you give a mouse a cookie mode.
Yes.
You are.
Absolutely. Because we did move some things around, but also I'm like, what happened to the playroom this summer, or probably since March? Like, a lot of this stuff wasn't down here. What's it doing down here? I need buckets for the attic. I need a big trash bag to throw things out. I need all these things. So originally, I mean, it's hard to like explain the house, and I'm going to do a video as well, I guess, or Instagram story, something. And we changed our dining room a bit. So we moved like the buffet of our dining room into our living room. Then we moved the dining room table. We shortened it, moved it over to the wall. Let's be real. We don't use our dining room table that often.
Just, so anyone. Fine.
Right. I mean, like Thanksgiving, it probably gets the most use. And then we set up my son's desk on one wall, like on one side of the closet door, and then my daughter's new princess desk. If you check out the Dillo's Diz TikTok, you might see a TikTok about it.
Okay, so maybe Jen, while you're listening to this, maybe by then, Jen will post pictures of this setup or an IGTV video.
Oh, TV. Maybe.
A little classy. To the Magic Mommy Mondays Instagram. If you're not following, please do so. Yeah. And I will post a video to my YouTube channel where we post our podcasts.
Yeah, I like it.
You'll have two places to look, and then you can get a feel for what we're talking about.
There's just some drag racing happening outside my window. We're also recording this during the day, which we never do, so there may be more sounds in the background.
We're just all backwards.
Yeah, so we did that, and then like I brought the printer up from the office where my husband works from home, but the last few months last year, every time I had to print something out, I was like, I'm like texting him, can you turn the printer on? Is it printing? Are you on a call? Can I come get it? Are you on video? Can you turn the video off for a minute so I can come get the paper?
You're just like cutting off the middleman.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just bring this up. So we made some changes upstairs. But then with the playroom, I'm like, I need to clear out this whole playroom and organize it and clean it and like do the deep. I feel like twice a year I go through things like we have an activities closet. Twice a year I clean it out and reorganize. So I'm like trying to do those things while also, because my son has sensory issues and he hasn't really been getting OT except for what we do at home. I'm kind of like in this, okay, before school starts every morning, I want to do some like OT-esque things, which are, you know, for him, they're playing and things like that. But we had gotten a sensory swing last month that's like, that's in our playroom as well. So, and we have a mat down there. We have all these things. So I kind of like envision in the morning, we're down there doing some of these activities so that like he gets out some of the things he needs and for the day. And then kind of upstairs will be school, but downstairs will be like playing, OT space, as if they won't trash the rest of the house with toys. But that's the plan. So that's where like, I think then the playroom came into my head too of like, I need to fix all of this up. So I'm working on it. That was a really long answer.
Oh, no, I honestly like hearing about cleaning and like clean with me videos is like my version of porn. Like
Yeah.
I love talking about organizing because it fills my cup.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Me, like when my life is hectic and when I'm anxious, it totally is reflected on the fact that my house is chaotic and unorganized.
Yeah.
And when my house has order and my life has order and everything's like in an assignment notebook. Oh my gosh, like talk about middle school. Like and my life has order, then I feel it's like meditating for me.
Yeah.
Love it. I will say that it was a ton of work, but what else was I going to do during quarantine? But Marie Kondoing my house was like the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And it was a pain and it took forever, but it has been amazing. And it's so much faster to clean up my house because I don't have as much clutter. I still have clutter because I have kids, but I don't have as much. So it's cleaning my house is faster and things have a spot. And if you have not heard of the KonMari method, she has a book. There's a Netflix show, which sometimes I watch when I'm exercising because type A. But yeah, that's been really nice. And I'm glad I did that before the school year because now it's done. And I would just do like a little part of the house a day. And it probably took me like 3 months.
Right.
But it can take like up to 6. Like,
right. Well, and that's the thing. And then because like, because the concentration has been in these rooms, now these other rooms are suffering. And it's just constant.
It builds and you bring crap from one room into the other.
And I'm like, well, I'll deal with it over there. Yeah.
I know. Okay. But my theory on the homeschool schoolroom.
Yes.
So I feel like you need to compartmentalize because when you're at school, when you're at preschool, even when you're at work, when we're at work, that is separate from the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Now, I worked from home for 5.5 years, so that was a lot harder for me to do because I could work anywhere in my house. So to compartmentalize, I would work at a coffee shop and just work there, or I would, your husband works in his office at work. So what I did is I upstairs almost walled off using a big bookshelf we have.
Yeah.
I walled off a section of the upstairs, and that is the schoolroom. We only go there for school. There's no other reason to be there. So the kids know that when they come in that area, it is school and we have school expectations. Yeah. I feel like that worked really well last year, as in like March to May.
Right.
And we don't play there.
Yeah.
We don't play school or bring toys in there because then it sets a different precedence. And so that's like my biggest theory and tip is like you have to compartmentalize because then it changes your expectations and it just gives you a break and it's kind of a mental separation. Yeah. So I really like that. When it comes to organizing our classrooms, we will both do videos. Jen will cover Instagram. I just kind of told her what she was doing.
That's fine.
So bossy. No, women are not bossy. We are confident. I confidently told Jen what she was doing.
And I confidently accepted.
She confidently was like, oh, I am? Okay.
I guess. Okay.
And I will do my video on my YouTube channel where we post our podcasts. And you will see our room setup. Okay. But Jen, what I really loved, and she kind of mentioned the swing, but she has a calming area and I love it. And Jen, I want you to talk about why you have one and where you found the stuff for it, which I thought was so cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when I Originally when we set up our playroom, I did have like a reading area. So I had a rug from IKEA, and then I got 2 of those, I don't know what they're called, pillows or cushions or whatever they are, but you fill them with stuffed animals. So it kind of holds the stuffed animals inside.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
What? This is a thing?
Yes. I'll send the link. Maybe I'll send the link out as well. But I'll send the link to you, Angela. You put all the stuffed animals in there, which frees up space of, that stuffed animals can take. But you can also still take them out and play because you just unzip and dump them out if you want. But then it creates like a little cushion, like almost like a beanbag chair, but with stuffed animals in them.
This is amazing. I've never heard of this.
Yes. And I got bookshelves that go right up against the wall. They're kind of like slotted bookshelves, and those are from IKEA. Mm-hmm. I'll do a whole post on that whole area.
Just do a video.
Yes. So, but then I was in Target. Oh, so we should really talk about okay, so this is Sunday as we're recording, aka yesterday from when you're probably hearing this on Magical Mommy Monday. So 2 Fridays ago, I was like, oh God, there's just so much to do. I need to start somewhere. I'm going to start by taking inventory of what I purchased a few weeks ago from the dollar spot at Target for that school-related things.
Oh my gosh, it's so dangerous.
And that same day, I had run to the dollar store because I hadn't been since before quarantine. And I was like, let's see what they have. I know.
It's a long time.
Too long.
Like 5 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it's like, I'm so excited. Let me now take inventory. It was very overwhelming. And I sent Angela pictures.
She sent me a picture and she's like, I think I have too much.
I was like, this is way too much, which makes sense because when I had done the Target run, as I didn't do self-checkout because I had too much. And the cashier was like, are you a teacher? Now I know why, because there was just so much. So it was way too much, but whatever. Once I started getting them in their little sections, it all works out. It's fine. And some are supplies that we'll need. But one of the things I actually found after that trip was in the back to school section and the teacher decor section was a calming, what is it called? The calming corner and a calming area banner with little papers. I'll do a video
like decorations.
On this, little decorations that you could probably hang because they have holes in them. You could hang on like a string of different ideas to calm yourself down. Take some deep breaths, take a walk, maybe jump up and down, whatever you need to do that. And it also came with bookmarks of like, take a deep breath, 1, 2, 3 that you could put in. Now, did I need an entire one of these, which contains 36 bookmarks? No, I didn't, because I don't need that many. And I didn't realize it had that because I never read the small prints on these Target things. But whatever. So I have now, that made me go, ooh, I'm going to make that reading section. I'm going to start switching out the books there because I haven't like switched out. And that was the other day. I went through the bookshelf in their room, the bookshelf in their living room, and their living room. I mean, it is theirs, but it's ours. Yeah. And the playroom. And I'm going to like switch out books and try to organize that, which I should also go through my books and get, donate some. But I made the reading area and the playroom now the calming corner. So I hung the little banner. Under it, I put like a little envelope with all the little ideas of how to calm yourself down. And hopefully the kids, because we'll force them to, will use it as a reading/calm down place for themselves.
I love that. I love that Target is honestly, they're just trying to make more money, but I love that they're offering more options for teachers, parents who are having to do homeschooling, and they're just giving mental resources, which I think is so important. And you should use the bookmarks. So what I did, I'm so proud of this. This is not even something to be proud of. I have a little bag or a box of tiny prizes that I got in the Target $1 section. You just put those in the prize box.
Yeah.
I have tiny erasers and pencils and stickers. You could just shove that in there.
Oh, well, that's a really good idea because I have some other things that I could put in there too. So
I wonder where you
I
got
used
those.
to have an entire bin of like dollar spot, dollar store surprises, like just in case I need it, or like, oh, we're going on a long car ride. I'll make them bag, or oh, we're going on a plane ride to Disney. I'll make a little backpack of all this little stuff that they've never seen before. But I don't have that big of a bin anymore, so I've gotten so much better.
Yeah, who doesn't need 36 bookmarks? That'd be fun. And
Right.
they
I
can
mean,
color it.
just handing
Or
it
they
out
can
to the
or they
town.
can color the bookmarks in the calming corner if they need to calm down.
That's true. I like that. I figure they'll get lost or something will happen, so I'll have to replace them constantly anyway, so it's fine.
You're good. Yeah, the other thing that I've had to do, again, that I haven't done since March, is write lesson plans.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, I did film a video last week on how I write my lesson plans because I thought that would be helpful for people finding themselves having to homeschool like a preschooler.
Yeah.
But I had taken Benadryl, which I never take, but I was having a reaction. I had taken Benadryl right before I filmed. So not only did I like write in the wrong spots on the calendars and then have to scribble it out, but I was like falling asleep during the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have to refilm that for you. But that's kind of been fun. And to go along with that, I think it's important, when you're starting this new journey to find your people and people that you can work together with, because Jen and I have been bouncing ideas back and forth with each other, sending each other our target hauls. Like, is this too much? How far we're coming along in our organizational projects and our lesson plans and our art projects. And it's really nice just to have someone that's going through that with you, because you're second guessing yourself anyway. I know I'm feeling so much guilt on the fact that my kids are not going to see other kids as much. I feel really guilty about that. And, I have to remind myself the reasons why I'm doing distance learning in the first place to kind of combat that. But just finding your people and knowing that you don't have to do this alone. You can work together.
Yeah.
And no one expected you to be, an expert at something you've never done before.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. And with that, actually, I need to find quarantine friends for my kids.
Yes.
That's a huge thing that I need to do. Don't really know how yet. I think I'm going to see who's in my daughter's class and kind of go from there. But I do want to have them socialize with
because
people.
Kids that you know now, are they going back?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're leaving at some point completely. So that's something, because I'm feeling that immense guilt, and I just want my kids to have other kids to socialize with in a safe manner. They do see their cousins, but they live, like an hour away. Yeah,
that's what we just actually did kind of a bigger reunion. We've seen some people here and there over the summer, out at parks and things like that. But we recently at the park did kind of a bigger reunion because my son, when he was in nursery school, met his future wife. And so she was in the class, and then there was another boy in the class, and we had all done play dates a lot along in the last few years. But we have seen the future in-laws, but we have not seen the other family since before quarantine. So we finally all got together, which was great. They have since had they also have everyone has 2 kids, which is great, all around the same age. They had since had a third that, we haven't seen since he was 9 months old or so. So, it's crazy to see how much bigger he's gotten and all of that. But it was so great to see. But they're also now going back to school soon. So they'll be out of the bubble completely, where we're dipping our toe out of the bubble here and there. So I feel like, the future in-laws, they're all virtual. So we'll be able to see them more, especially in the first few. I think after the first few weeks, I'll be a little better about it. But those first couple of weeks of the kids going back to school, I think I might be a little nitpickier of who we're seeing and how often and what capacity. So yeah, they're doing that. I know my cousin's kids she's keeping them home as well. We actually don't get to see them that much, but potentially we could. There's no reason we can't. I think life gets in the way. So there are some, and then whoever is in his class, I'm kind of hoping there is a boy from his class last year that we didn't even realize lives around the corner from us. And I'm kind of hoping I saw his mom. I'm not friends with her on Facebook, so I kind of sound like a stalker now, but I saw his mom had posted about being in like another group for virtual, and I was like, oh my God, if he's in the class, that would be so great. Plus they're around the corner. We should acknowledge that we live around the corner from each other, and maybe they'll see each other more. So hopefully there's potential for social interaction along the way. But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how things go with all the schools being back open, because I know the colleges have been having some issues in sending kids back home. So it's all going to be a crazy time for the next like month or so.
Right. And not only, the schools, they could possibly close. But when it comes to these play dates, it's going to get cold in Minnesota.
Right.
So we won't be able to do the outdoor play dates, which is what we've done so far. We have let family in our home and then bubble, like my friends.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've had like 2 friends over that were mine, and they had been quarantining.
Yeah.
But other than that, we don't have people in our house, and we don't go in other people's houses.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, and I would like to hear, your input on this. Is it safer to have people in your house and go to someone's houses that are in a bubble? Or would you do play dates at like a zoo or like a bounce world or something, like, and have that be like your social interaction with your kids and friends?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that, which is why I'm bringing it up. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the answer either. I kind of feel like if you're able to be outdoors, that's probably going to be better, especially with school starting, just because you're getting out. And it's, it's healthy, COVID or not COVID, to be outside as much as possible. But I think, if you're with other families that are kind of doing the similar routine to yours, it's probably okay, especially if you know them well enough. So like, okay, I know where the parents work or where they're going or whatever it is. I think you just have to trust your gut of like, I think they're okay to see, they haven't been, going to the club and raging every night. So I think they're okay. But yeah, I think you just trust your gut and play it out. And if you can be outside, be outside. And otherwise, figure out an alternative and get creative, I guess.
See how it goes. I mean, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? So where do we go from here? We've set up our classroom. We're starting to write lesson plans. What's next before school starts next week or tomorrow while you're listening to this? Yeah. So I'm trying to set myself up for success. And for me, that means creating a routine and getting things done in advance. So like I said, a lesson plan and prepping projects in advance. I used to prep their art projects during free choice, because free choice, I'm sorry, I'm sucking on a cough drop. It's really hard to talk and not like drool all over the mic while I'm doing this. For me, that means prepping art projects in advance. I used to do it during free choice because that was right before art. But I noticed that if I had a migraine if I had a migraine, that's pretty much the only reason it wouldn't happen. I would not feel good. So I'd be laying down on the couch while they were playing and we might not get to art. And then I'd feel like a crap mom and then, spiral. But I tried this week. I prepped all of the art projects in advance and I just took an hour, traced things, cut things out for them to then cut out even more, and gathered everything. I took a huge Ziploc bag and put everything in there for the whole week. Yeah. I picked out the books that we are reading for the whole week. I set those aside and brought out anything that had to go with the art projects, like if it was like cotton balls or yarn or whatever, and shoved that in the Ziploc bag as well. And I'm trying to create a routine, but also like, this is hard for me because I have a fear of the unknown. Expect the unexpected because we don't know how school is going to go. So I am trying to exercise before the kids get up a little bit before them. I have my, daily schedule for the kids, which I'll show you in my video, and go with the flow because who knows what tomorrow is going to bring. Yeah,
I feel, and I was talking to you about this via text, that I think sometimes I try to go, everything has to be this certain way, and this is how it has to go, and I have to be prepared for all of this. When I'm trying to let go of that a little bit, at least for the first week. And I know that, school the first week, even if they were in person, it's pretty lax. Everyone's getting to know each other. They're kind of doing easier projects and all of that. But, for any kid, it's new and there's an adjustment period. For my son, it might be a little bit more because change for him, it's as if he has some Dillo DNA in him. Change for him is a little extra tough. So I feel like for my 3-year-old, who would have been starting nursery school 2 days a week, 2.5 hours a day, for that first week, I might just go. I think another important part is I've been trying to communicate to both of them. Here's how the day is going to go. Here's what to expect.
That's so smart.
With her, I think I'm also going to set the expectation of, the 6-year-old will be on the computer a little more. I have to kind of see how that goes, but mommy's going to be doing things with you and all that kind of stuff. So that first week, the expectations aren't, we're on all the time and things are magical and fantastic, that there's going to be an adjustment time for everybody. So I'm kind of trying to lay low on everything as a whole and trying to focus on let's get my son settled because he's doing virtual. He's going to be doing it every single day, which is new because even at the end of the school year last year, he wasn't on video every day. And really not until a few weeks in did they start every Friday they were doing show and tell. So it wasn't even a routine for him. So this is a brand new routine, get him settled, and whatever we can do in the meantime is a bonus until we all get into the routine, little baby steps along the way.
And I just want to point out that I was a preschool teacher. My mom was a kindergarten and first grade teacher for years. I have that leg up. If you have no idea what you're doing, and you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
If you have your preschooler do Khan Academy Kids for 10 minutes and that's it. Yeah. If you only have time to read your kid 2 books a day, that's fine. Yep. This is not going to kill them or hinder them.
Yeah.
It's not going to make them dumb. You're you're doing a great job. You're a good parent. Yeah. Your kid will be fine for kindergarten. Yeah. If you're worried about prepping your kid for kindergarten, as a pre-K teacher, they need to know how to count to 20. They need to know their ABCs. They need to know how to write their name. I mean, that's pretty much it. Alphabet, numbers, count to 20, their name. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So if they got those, your kid is ready.
Yep.
But yeah, Khan Academy Kids, that's a great resource. That's an app. Have them play that. Super effective. We're just being extra about it. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we have ABC Mouse on the iPad now that they both do from time to time. And my 3-year-old loves it. That? So you do? I know they were doing a deal when quarantine happened.
Oh, that's right.
But maybe there's a deal out there somewhere. You could find a coupon code for it. But they both like it. They both have their own little avatars with it. And, I feel like my son kind of grew out of it, but kind of got back into it again over the summer.
That's perfect for your daughter.
Yes, it's perfect for her, and she loves it. So, even if she's doing that as I'm trying to get him settled with something, or like you said, I mean, I'm trying to think back to when my son was in school 2 days a week for 2.5 hours a day. It's they did so many art projects and crafts, and they read books, and they got outside a lot. They were playing. It's all about play at that stage as you're learning and absorbing the information. So I think anything is going to be, you're good. You don't have to go so crazy figuring it out.
If you do have the extra time, I'm using this. I have the privilege to be home a good amount of the time, so I'm using this time I have to teach them extra skills that, I mean, if I didn't have this time, I could tell you right now, this would not be happening.
Yep.
I'm teaching them Spanish. I purchased a subscription for Simply Joy Piano, I think. So I'm teaching my daughter piano. I'm going to have my mother-in-law teach my daughter to sew. These are life lessons. I was given piano lessons, but as far as, early Spanish and learning how to sew, these were not regular things that I had growing up.
Yeah.
And so, this is kind of
anything you're doing
precious
is good.
time.
It's all going to be fine. And
they can be unconventional, like learning how to sew or bake.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because they're learning along the way anyway. I mean, you're good. Everything will be fine.
You're doing good, parents.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Yes.
Happy school year. You got it. All right. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you give us a review on iTunes. You can catch us on Magic Mom Monday on Twitter and Magical Mommy Mondays on Instagram. We have a blog now. We will put that link to our blog in the show notes as well as our email. I hope that you're having a great day, night, whatever you're doing, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Kisses. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. You can find us on Twitter at Magic Mom Monday and on Instagram at Magical Mommy Mondays. The music you heard on this podcast was written and produced by Matt Harvey. We'll see you next time.